Hey y'all. So as I get to spend time with my children, right? Like I just reflect on all of the things that I needed to heal from for myself that if I'm honest, I gave them a perspective of what I was used to seeing, right? Instead of giving it a different perspective or looking at things differently, right? So now as I'm older, and I'm walking into what God is calling me to walk into, I definitely had to go back and see the way my life went, my childhood, my upbringing. And I had to see it differently, right? And so God told me a while ago that He was going to use me to break generational cycles, dysfunctions, myths, whatever you want to call them, right? And how do we do that? We recognize that the way we learned it, or the way the perspective it was given to us, we recognize that it doesn't have to be that way, right? And we choose to see it in a different way, right? And so as I'm just like in quiet time with the Lord, which is what I'm always doing, if y'all was just wondering, I'm pondering, like, the question was like, why do adults grow up to only have to be broken when we choose to surrender our lives to the Lord, right? Right, like, why is it that we don't stand firm in changing the dysfunctions that keep repeating in family cycles, right? And a lot of times I believe is because we mess our children up because we want them to reach their greatest potential, but we want them to reach it in the way that we see fit, right? And the only way my kids can reach their greatest potential, I believe, is if I allow them to be obedient to the Holy Spirit in the way He speaks to them, right? They are only their greatest when I allow the Lord to do in them what they need, what He needs to do in them, right? And so that got me to thinking, right? Okay, so if parents are always putting like their potential on their kids, right, and not letting their kids figure out what their best potential is on their own, then when they get older, they have to break some things in order to grow in different ways for where God has them to go, right? I'm hope y'all following me. So then I got to thinking, and I got to talking to the Lord, and I got to asking, and I was like, so then what's the purpose of christening the children at such a young age? Because christening children to me symbolized the parents, right, surrendering their children back to the Lord, right? So follow me. If I'm surrendering my child back to the Lord, that means I have to go to the Lord, right, for instructions on how to steward this child, right? If I'm not going to the Lord for directions on how to steward this child that I just gave back to Him, then I might not be raising them in the way that they should be going, right? I don't know. These are just some of my thoughts, like I was just thinking about, right? Or so then I got to thinking, I was like, so then why do we dedicate them back to the Lord so young, right? Because if I'm honest, and if you honest, right, and you're a mother and you're a parent and you have kids, you really ain't really surrendering your kids back to the Lord when they're an infant, right? Because now you have to raise them, right? You have to give them instruction. You have to show them what to do, right? In order to live this life, right? Like, so we form a sense of control over the children, right? And this progresses for like 18 years, right? And so now 18 has come. You've controlled this child so much in these 18 years. And then when they grow old and decide that they don't want to listen to your rules anymore and they leave, now we're frustrated as parents, right? Because we've raised these kids to only be obedient to you and not the Holy Spirit that will eventually has always been leading and guiding them in the way that they're supposed to go for what He has for them in their lives, right? Bam. So I get to thinking, I'm like, well, dang, then we probably should wait till the kids is like 18, right? And then be in the church and then be like, all right, look, I'm ready to give this child back to you, Lord. Because we at whatever months we dedicate them back to the Lord, they're not like, we really ain't ready to give them back to the God and let God just have His way in their life. Because if you think about it now, God has had His way in their lives now. And when they come in and they're like disputing you in conversation and stuff like that, that is Him having His way in their lives, and it causes you frustration. So then I got to thinking, I was like, right, so then maybe we should just dedicate them at like 18, right, and fully give them over. But do we really know what that means, right? When we say we fully give our children back to the Lord for instructions and direction on which way they're supposed to go. It's the people not saying excuse me for me. Anywho, but I'm just saying, like, we got to think about that, right? Because we have adult children and parents still in ways using who they are and in the lives and the titles they hold in people's lives as a way of controlling what they want to see done in their children's lives. And sometimes God will have the same plan at the end, that the child be saved, delivered, and set free and living the life intended for them. But the way that the process in which that takes may not look like what parents want it to look like, right? And then my question is that if you're that parent, right, like you don't have no clue what your kid is going through, right? Like you don't understand why it's going the way it's going, right? It just makes no sense to you. For those parents, my question to you is, are you trusted in the human, right? Or are you trusted in the Holy Spirit that is working through the human? First of all, you got to understand the difference, right? And so you might want to have a conversation, or you might want to just get to know your child, right? On a level of understanding, not a level of you need to do what I tell you, right? But a level of understanding. And try and have an understanding of the way God is using them and how He's using them. Not to condemn them in a way that makes them feel like they're doing something wrong, but in a way that will try and give you some understanding, right? Because parents, we definitely need these babies to know what it's like to hear from the Lord for themselves. And they do at younger ages, but because they're young and they say the things that frustrate us or aggravate our spirits, we're quick to tell them to sit down and be quiet because they don't know what they're talking about. But my Bible tells me that out of the mouth of babes, right, He'll use the babes to speak the truth, right? The question is why are you so offended about the baby telling you the truth, right? That may mean that you need to have some personal quiet time with the Lord and seek him on that frustration, and don't take it out on that baby. Y'all, we was just talking about that today. That's what we was going through today in my head with the Lord, down that rabbit hole of thoughts with Jesus. Y'all, be great, but just take an evaluation of how you're raising your kid, right? Is it out of control, or is it out of trust, right? Like, are you raising them out of the state of controlling them, or are you raising them out of the state of trusting God with them, that they will hear his voice for themselves and in tune follow and be obedient to what he is telling them to do? I encourage you to choose the latter. And that's what I've been able to give to my kids, right? And I've been able to show them that in their everyday life, so they see God in their everyday, right? So that when he does truly start speaking to them, like, it won't scare them, but they'll be prepared to know what to expect, right? And then I'm raising them so that when they get older, they don't have to go through the breaking of generational dysfunction, so that they can be confident in who God is calling them to be. It's all about being the example, y'all. My Bible tells me that we're supposed to be the example for the younger generation, so that they can pick up where we can no longer fulfill the purpose, and then they can carry it to the levels and understandings that God reveals to them, right? And to keep it going and to grow it more and more and more, advance it. And what I'm trying to teach my kids and my grandkids is a legacy of love, right? The love of Jesus, that he's no respecter of person, and everybody gets the same measure of love. And we're supposed to extend that same measure of love to other people, right? And as long as they know how to be obedient to the Holy Spirit and be obedient to the Holy Spirit and do what he is asking them to do, no matter how uncomfortable or how many people don't agree, that's the most important thing. The most important thing for me is that they know to just be obedient regardless of whatever comes their way. If God said it, if he promised it, it's going to happen no matter what it looks like. Y'all, have a great day. Whatever it is you choose to do today, be great at it, right? Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. Because if he's allowing you to do it, he got a plan for you. And it's going to be great, right? So, y'all, I love y'all. Have a great day.